Hey everybody, Michael Crump back here again, and for the PlayStation scene, we got a rather interesting talk the other day, and it was titled Unleashing 1,000 Paths on the Journey to Play Beatsaber Custom Songs. Now, this person named Timstar attacked the hardware that uses an AMD chip, which is exactly the same thing that is on the PlayStation 5 console. Now let's go ahead and let's take a look at his talk, and I'm going to be interjecting some commentary in between.
I bought a commercial gaming console, and I bought the VR headset for that console because it had an exclusive game that I wanted to play, but I also wanted to play Beatsaber. The game is obviously purchased.
Now, one thing that I did find interesting in this is that in no place in this video or in this talk does he ever mention the word PlayStation. Now, I found that to be rather interesting because everybody knows that this is for the PlayStation 5, yet he definitely did not call it out.
So the built-in song selection is limited. Custom songs exist, but unfortunately not for this console. You can create custom songs, there's tutorials online, and there is even AI, which you can feed in a song and it generates a map for you. I didn't really want to buy another headset, either for PC or standalone, and instead I ended up buying a second console for hacking.
Obviously, we know that the easiest approach to solving this would have been buying a headset for the PC, as again, you have been able to have custom songs in Beatsaber, as he mentioned, quite a long time ago. But hey, he is a hacker, so he wants to see what he can do with the system he has.
So, prior research, there were no major hacks for the device at the time, and then still no hacks for firmware high enough to play Beatsaber.
So this right here is referring to the PlayStation 5 10.01 jailbreak that we got. He did not have it at the time that he was doing this, but what you'll find at the end of the presentation is that he was able to jailbreak his console.
After I submitted and it got accepted, new major exploits dropped publicly just last month. There's severe restrictions on downloading digital-only titles because to access the store you need to be on the latest firmware. So upgrading to latest is required, but then if you do that, you probably have all the bugs patched, so you cannot really hack the console anymore.
Yep, so anytime you want to download a digital title, that does mean you have to update to the very latest version. And in this instance, what he's basically saying is that it's going to be a cat and mouse game. As soon as they find a hack, it will be fixed by Sony.
There were some failed attempts, so there was some user space software hacks existed at the time, at least for the latest version, but only in the compatibility mode for the old gen software.
So this is where right now we can use our PlayStation 4 homebrew applications and run them on a PlayStation 5. So for example, Items Flow is actually a PS4 app. So that is what he's talking about here with compatibility mode.
It was a really good entry point, but unfortunately lack of skills on my side prevented from finding bugs. Or actually, we did have bugs, but we couldn't even trigger them because of restricted attack surface, sandboxing, syscalls weren't available, which would trigger the vulnerable code path, so Also, the approach is not sustainable anyways, because the next upgrade would fix all the bugs, and then that would kind of prevent us from sharing all the efforts with other people.
Yeah, so for example, right now on the PlayStation 5, I believe it is 12.20, which is the latest version that is out. And well, all of those people that have upgraded past 10.01, which at this point is a lot of people, they wouldn't have access to this at all.
Which would be really cool to do. So demotivation kind of hit, and I didn't really want to continue this path. So at this point, we're going to switch to target because consoles are actually super expensive, right? But when the console is manufactured, sometimes the chips are broken. So instead of throwing them away, the manufacturer packs those chips, disables the GPU, and puts them on a desktop mainboard and sells those to still recover some of the money. And these are actually much, much cheaper, especially if you buy also with the broken boards. It has the exact same chip, it has the exact same ROM, and it has a very similar boot flow. So what if we can hack this instead?
So basically with the PlayStation 5, If the chip doesn't meet the criteria, then they just get rid of it. And so you can buy these chips on eBay. And the good news is that for the most part, if you find one of those that is broken, you can simply buy the board and then you can take the chip off and you can examine it yourself.
At this point, a quick reminder, this is not a console hacking talk. From here on, we will focus only on the desktop board. The real target here is the AMD platform security processor. This is a Cortex A5. It's a 32-bit ARM core inside the actual CPU. It takes care of hardware bring-up, for example, initializing the DRAM. It also takes care of the secure boot chain. And this is the real root of trust. This is where things get juicy.
Okay, so we know we're targeting the PSP, which is not the PlayStation Portable. And here we are showing the boot flow. Now, the one thing to keep in mind with here is that while he describes all of this in great detail.
So the real root of trust is the ROM, but also this off-chip bootloader. So if we can glitch and compromise code at this point, that means we have full control. So running code in or after the boot ROM gives access to all the keys. It gives control over everything that runs afterwards. We can patch out all further security. That means we can inject custom code into the bootloader, into the hypervisor, into the kernel, into user space, and of course our target, into Beatsaber.
Now, at this point, the next 30 minutes or so goes through all of the different approaches that they took. And yes, there is supposed to be multiple exploits that is found in here. So once he goes through all of the different methods that he tried, he wraps up with some links here where you can go ahead and take a look at his work so far.
We open sourced a couple things. We have the ROM dumping payload, which is basically the firmware for Raspberry Pi Pico. We have the mod chip PCB, which you can also put a Pico on and then buy the components and try the glitching itself. We also have the mod chip firmware, where you can see some of our glitch attempts. And then we have some nice X-ray pictures of the main board, and on my t-shirt I'm wearing actually one of those X-ray images.
Okay, so here is the GitHub repo that was mentioned. Again, there is a couple of different pieces in here. There is the hardware, there is the firmware, and then there is the dumper. There is also the X-rays that was mentioned, and I went ahead and I pulled up one of the X-rays, and it's just pretty sweet to see that there's this level of detail that is already out there. Again, all these links will be in the description below if you do want to take a look.
But the actual question is, when ETA custom songs? There has been some updates on the Beatsaber thing. After the announcement of the talk, a lot happened in the console hacking scene. There were multiple exploits, hacks, jailbreaks released, including firmware high enough to play Beatsaber and compatible with my console. So my theory is that people got scared that their bug's going to be useless after seeing the announcement, and it just dropped everything, which works out nicely for me, so I kind of achieved my goal.
Now, I really doubt that this is the case, especially since he has stated all up front that this is not a console security talk. I do think that it just so happened to be released a little bit later on, but I think that his talk had absolutely nothing to do with the recent PS5 jailbreaks.
So I can jailbreak my console with public stuff and then work on the last missing piece. And we did. The roadmap was, first I learned to sing, then I recorded an original song, I run through the Beatsage AI to generate a Beatsaber map, I jailbroke the console with Beatsaber installed, then you dump and decrypt the Beatsaber, you convert the custom map Beatsaber from JSON into some binary format compatible with the console, you replace some existing song with the on song by like binary patching, you reinstall the patched game, and the goal is achieved. And the map is available to download right here, and there's also a YouTube video of me playing it. Don't complain that I suck, I had to record the demo yesterday night.
And there really wasn't anything else in this video except for just showing him do this for about 2 minutes and 20 seconds. So anyways, he is able to load the custom song. Let's go ahead and look at the file that he mentioned that you could download. Okay, so I went ahead and extracted the folder to my hard drive here. You'll see there's a couple of things in here. The first thing is that there is a readme.md. And in the README here, it gives you a couple of different steps in order to use this. So step 1, patch the eboot.bin, patch the shared assets, then more shared access, and then repack the binaries, and then install it to a USB drive. Now again, you won't be able to do very much with all of these, at least at the moment here. Now I only found one question from the Q&A that was kind of worth keeping in here, so I'll just leave you with that.
So given the AMD PSP has been used in so many different CPUs, how many of the techniques and approaches you took are transferable? And are you aware of others using these or similar approaches for other AMD chips as well?
But I would think that they share a lot of code, and you can potentially apply some of the exploits, bugs, strategies also on other AMD CPUs. That wouldn't surprise me.
And again, thanks for watching.